There's an invisible tsunami that people aren't paying enough attention to in Singapore.
The disease is very insidious. It's like a silent killer. Many patients don't even know until it is a far more advanced stage.
Kidney failure. 6 people get diagnosed with it every day in Singapore, and that's 3 times more patients than 2 decades ago.
It's a devastating disease, and it's a substantial burden for patients, their families, and loved ones.
We're at this brink of no return in terms of patient numbers. At the rate things are going, we're going to have a problem with patients not having dialysis centers to go to.
Will there be enough nurses to tackle this?
No. And still.
That's really the tip of the iceberg. There are over 300,000 people in Singapore that have chronic kidney disease. We have a big wave that's here already and is only going to get worse.
Right now, already some 300 million is spent on dialysis a year, and that cost will only increase exponentially if nothing is done to stem the tide.
The thing is, there's a simple way to catch many cases before it gets to a catastrophic stage. So why aren't we doing it?
I'd like to show you our renal unit. This is where patients come for their dialysis when they're admitted to hospital. As you can see, we are quite full.
This is Dr. Yeo, head of the renal department at Tan Tock Seng Hospital. Usually, by the time patients see him, they're often nearing, if not at, end-stage kidney failure. These patients usually crash land at the hospital's A&E department when they've developed severe symptoms like breathlessness, skin itch, or swelling. But before then,
So I would say easily about 1/3 to half of the patient did not know prior that they have kidney disease or that they had kidney failure. 早安，你好，我是杨医生。昨晚睡觉 OK 吗？
对，是一样的。
你记得你当初入院的时候，你记得是什么症状，还有什么一回事吗？
这个肚子啊很重啊，有感觉到的。是我跟医生讲，那个不很要紧了。
所以你现在人比较好了。
人现在人比较好。
很好，不用担心，我们把你的那个毒素降低。
我们自己也没有一个经济在那边，所以我们自己负担这个病嘛。
没关系，医生和护士。
现在自己一个人住，这是人接租子一个人600。舒服的。
好，我不要你担心。I think it's still very difficult. I've been a kidney specialist for many years now, but each time when we still see a patient newly diagnosed with kidney failure, we know that the health burden and also the emotional supports that the patient needs is tremendous.
Doctor, actually this story hits quite close to home for me. Some 10 years ago, right, my grandfather was actually admitted to the A&E. On the spot, they said that his kidneys had already failed. And that's really shocking to my family because we didn't see it coming at all.
We've seen so many patients who were exactly like your grandfather, because in the early stages, they do not have any symptoms. They feel normal, they feel healthy, even though their kidney function has declined. Patients do not develop kidney failure suddenly, usually. So they usually develop stage 1 and stage 2 kidney failure, and that can last for many years before they progress to a more advanced stage of kidney disease. But many patients don't realize until they are at stage 5 CKD.
Stage 5, wow. So are you saying that my grandfather could actually have had many years of CKD before the point that he went to the A&E?
Yes, very possibly.
Wow, that's incredible.
I found out that our kidneys are really hard workers. They don't stop until they drop.
Yeah, it works very hard, just like you and me in Singapore.
That's Dr. Tan, head of the renal department at Singapore General Hospital.
So essentially the kidney is actually a membrane that filters blood, get rid of waste product and water from the body. So all the junk that we eat, the kidney will get rid of it from our body, and it's working there all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, it never rests.
Not even when kidney disease strikes. Kidney disease can happen due to conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, and inflammation, or even genetic factors. These can damage the kidney cells and cause them to die. The thing is, the damage is irreversible. These cells don't regenerate, and so the remaining kidney cells will have to work extra hard to keep the organ going. Over time, it becomes harder and harder for the kidney to filter blood, and toxins begin to accumulate. Once the kidneys have failed, the only 2 treatment options are lifetime dialysis or a transplant.
Now it's 12:05, so now we are going to ask noon patients to come in.
Once kidney failure patients are out of critical care, they go on to a community dialysis centre like this one to continue twice-weekly dialysis.
It's like a World War III. We will be having a good turnover patients from AM to noon. You can see the nurses will be walking here, running there. They need to bring the patients, so it's a bit hectic period.
The National Kidney Foundation's Integrated Renal Centre is the biggest dialysis facility in Singapore. Every week, about 260 patients come through their doors.
Even my friends who are non-nurses, they think that, oh, this one sit down only will lepak. I was like, what lepak? We are already having a lot of things to do. During dialysis, there's a lot of complication happening. Can be hypotension, can have chest pain, got shortness of breath. We need to monitor that so that the patient don't go to severe complications. Lee Meng Soon?
Yeah.
Your BP low
Yeah.
Why At home all okay
Okay.
Makan less
Makan less.
My biggest challenge is when the patients are coming in for the first time, they will show their frustration, they will show their aggression. They actually are in denial and they are frustrated. You see so many.
Oh, I
Cake, sweet, this one, phosphate.
Yeah.
Then how to clear? A normal human being, they like to drink a lot of water, they eat whatever they want. Suddenly, they give you a restriction. Okay, you only can take 800 meals per day. You cannot eat peanut, you cannot eat durian, phosphate high.
It's very painful to see them struggling with having to go for treatment. I realized that kidney failure is suffering. It's a slow walk towards death while you're on treatment.
So when I started 4 years ago, half of our DC was full. The remaining half was empty. Now you can see it's full house already. We have one patient pass away. Within 2 to 3 days, we got a new patient.
The NKF receives more than 100 new dialysis applications a month. 5 years ago, there were only about 60 applications a month.
We need to build at least 3 to 4 centres every year to just cope with this demand. At the rate this is going, right, that will mean that every HDB block we will need to have one centre.
Will there be enough nurses to tackle this?
No, I am training new renal nurses like nobody's business.
We'll go to the bone marrow.
It's not easy to train renal nurses. It takes 6 months for a nurse to be competent to manage the dialysis machine, manage patients on dialysis. I lost a lot of nurses to overseas who are actually very well trained already, and I have got to start all over again. The question is, if we don't have enough nurses, what's going to happen to the patient?
One projection estimates that by 2035, about 1 in 4 of Singapore residents could have chronic kidney disease, and over half of them may not know it. That's 500,000 undetected cases. Most of them would be a result of diabetes. It's the cause of 2 in 3 new kidney failure cases today.
Sadly, we're number 1 in the world for the incidence of end-stage kidney failure caused by diabetes, and have been at the top of that list for a while.
We all know about diabetes. In fact, it's a key condition you'll be checked for when you go for a basic health screening.
It's been 5 years since the Singapore government declared a war on diabetes.
But is focusing on detecting diabetes enough to help catch potential cases of kidney disease?
Most of the time, the routine screening, people are aware to screen for cholesterol, diabetes, but having a normal blood sugar level or normal cholesterol level doesn't mean that the kidney is healthy.
Right now, there's urgency to detect whether you have diabetes, whether you have hypertension, whether you have high cholesterol, but there's no urgency to detect whether or not your kidney function is optimal.
Checking the health of your kidneys requires a separate test.
Not many people are aware that they can actually request to be screened for kidney disease.
You'll need 2 key tests.
Number 1 is the blood test to look at the creatinine, which is a waste product of the body. The blood test will give us an idea of the toxin level in the body. And number 2, we need to look at the urine for the presence of protein or the presence of blood in the urine. It is important to do both urine and blood tests because in the early stages of chronic kidney disease, the blood test might be normal and the only abnormality we can detect is in the urine.
Remember that chronic kidney disease is in 5 stages? Imagine if it was caught here, here, or even here.
We have some pretty good treatments now that slow the progression of kidney disease to end stage. I mean, if you can delay the onset of dialysis for 4 or 5 years, it's fantastic for the individual involved, but also saves a lot of money for the health system.
This one. There, here. Big difference lah. Well, that time you see, even slimmer than now.
Thanks so young. Get the painkillers or those medicine that can really.
You know, you have been very lucky because when you came to see us, we actually screened for the presence of protein in the urine, and we were actually able to detect your kidney problem early lah.
So what I can relate is that my dad passed away because of kidney failure. And it happens right in front of my eyes. During that year when my dad passed away, I think that was the moment that you really think that, okay, enough is enough. Yeah, you have to do something about it.
The good thing is that because we detected it early, and then we could actually control it with medication and with lifestyle changes, that your kidney function actually has remained stable over the past 20 years lah.
In fact, I'm so fortunate because of this early detection. I didn't have to go through the hardship of dialysis, and basically I just have to take the oral medicine really after 20 years. It's still amazing for me.
So the cost differentiation is quite big. If you talk about medication-wise, it's probably in the hundreds. But if you talk about dialysis therapy, we're talking about over $1,000 per month. Moreover, we're not just talking about money, we're talking about quality of life. Imagine going on dialysis 3 times a week versus a life that doesn't require dialysis. There's so much more freedom.
I woke up at 4:45 a.m. to get ready for my dialysis treatment. I'll need to reach there latest by 7:15 a.m. I've been doing dialysis for 9 years. I've been walking the same route to the centre 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Is it tiring for you?
No, I feel a bit breathless. Yeah, because I didn't do dialysis for 2 days, right? So I've been drinking more water than I should, so it's a bit difficult.
How are you?
At 30 years old, Radiana is the youngest dialysis patient at the centre.
I don't want pain. No pain, okay. Okay. Both my parents went through dialysis treatment, and I said to myself, I need to do dialysis treatment. I rather die than do this, you know. When I first came here, I kind of nervous. I got questioned a lot. They will ask me, you kidney patient? Oh, so young can get rid of this.
CKD is not a disease that affects only the older population. We know that even in patients who are in their 30s, 40s or early 50s, if they have risk factor for CKD, they might be affected.
I wish I had done my kidney screening because I took things very lightly. That's why now I'm in this state.
There are about 9,000 people in Singapore who have end-stage kidney failure right now. But that's really the tip of the iceberg. There are probably estimated 300,000 plus people who have chronic kidney disease.
And let's not forget, 200,000 or so cases that could be undetected currently.
They're going to surface one way or another. If I had my way, we'd do broad screening across the population. It's a blood test and a urine test. Boom, you're done.
But if screening is that simple, why aren't more people doing it?
Top few causes of death include cancer and heart diseases. So the awareness is actually very high in this aspect. For chronic kidney disease or end-stage kidney disease, because we can actually replace the kidney with machines, so the patient technically do not die from kidney disease.
In other words, we're more afraid of cancer than kidney disease. But here's the thing.
The life expectancy for individuals who have end-stage kidney disease is worse than colon cancer, breast cancer even.
A lot of these patients actually don't survive past 5 years. So certain kidney disease, if they do go on dialysis, yes, they can maybe go up to 10 years or maybe go up to 15, yeah, but that is a rarity.
Doctors tell me that people with kidney disease actually have a higher risk of heart disease, which means some of the deaths here are actually a result of kidney disease.
Hello, Brenda. Come, take a seat. You're here to do the screen for life.
General practitioners like Dr. Ellie Sabrina are usually the first point of contact when someone is ill. But she wishes more would take her up on an equally important service, health screening.
I think a lot of times it's because when you don't feel sick, why should I go to see the doctor to do any health screening? The second thing is the fact that you feel that it's going to be somebody else but not me. The third one is probably a lot of people feel that they have no time. I don't want to know because what if I'm sick? I do not think I can cope financially.
One thing that's helped is the government's Screen for Life initiative. It offers subsidized health screening for eligible Singapore citizens and permanent residents based on their age and gender.
Because a lot of people think that it costs a bomb. But now with Screen for Life, you can do it for $5, $2, even free. And then it's cheaper than, buying your nasi lemak.
But she thinks the initiative shouldn't just screen for blood pressure, glucose and cholesterol levels. It should also include kidney function.
So do you find it frustrating?
It's frustrating but what to do, you know what I mean? By the time a person is diagnosed as diabetes, he definitely had chronic kidney disease for at least a few months or years. It's so difficult to get somebody to come for health screening. So when you catch them, you make full use of the opportunity. And I do think that the extra tests that we do to screen for the kidney function is not very much as compared to the mountain of course that we're going to have if we end off with somebody with a renal failure and needing a dialysis machine.
As a young person, I honestly haven't been paying enough attention to health screening. But now that I know that because my grandfather's kidneys failed, I could have a higher risk of contracting kidney disease. So I want to know how my kidneys are doing.
Is it? Oh, it's a little bit high. I'm going to do a blood test for you now. Again, take a deep breath. I'm feeling okay? Okay. Here I have a urine filter for you.
So I've done my test and I'll find out if I'm okay in a week's time. If like me, you've got risk factors for chronic kidney disease, like diabetes, hypertension, having a family history of CKD or are overweight, you should go for regular health screening and make sure to include your renal tests. Remember, that's the blood test to detect creatinine, which are toxins, and the urine test to check for any protein leakage or traces of blood. Doctors recommend that you get screened once every year, and do encourage your family members to go for screening too.
If we have an effective program for kidney screening, we can catch as many undiagnosed cases as possible.
The NKF says it's looking into partnering with more GPs to provide subsidized screening for patients who have risk factors for kidney disease.
Hopefully, with the lower costs, more people in the population will actually take up and go for these screenings.
What is really needed is first a change of mindset by Singaporeans.
I think it's important to treat screening as a habit. When we are taking care of things like our house, car, motorbike, we will dutifully send our vehicles for checkup once a year to make sure that it's running. We should do the same thing for our body and our health.
As a doctor, we always say that the best doctors are those who can prevent illness. My wish as a nephrologist is to put myself out of work so that there are no more patients on dialysis.
I think that will be a very happy problem to have if we are so successful in helping our patients to detect CKD, to prevent CKD, and to prevent kidney failure. I think that will truly be one of the joys of my career.